Hello there. Welcome to the How to Market Your Horse Business podcast. I'm so glad you're here today. My name is Denise Alvarez, and I get the pleasure of hosting you here each week. And through my business, Storm Lily Marketing, I also get to help horse business owners like you turn your website visitors into your customers. I do that through coaching, through website design and content, as well as email marketing strategy and my Social Stride monthly coaching program. I do each of these things so that you can put your focus on your horses and your clients. And I get that marketing is not everybody's cup of tea, right? Or maybe you do enjoy it, but you're just not always in a place where you can study it and learn and figure out what to do. So that's why I'm here, and that's why I have this podcast. I love giving you some step-by-step strategies, some basic how-tos, so that you can see what's possible for your horse business, and so I can help guide you through that process. And so today we are talking specifically about hashtags and how hashtags used correctly can be a benefit to you and your horse business, specifically, of course, in social media. So, of course, if you are looking to make the most bang for your buck, which as business owners, we all are, right? Then we know that social media is a free marketing opportunity. Now, it doesn't mean it's like super simple and it does everything for you. It takes work. So the time is your investment, right? But otherwise, it's free. And I know a lot of you in particular are on Instagram, and so am I. So if we're not friends yet, definitely find me there as Storm Lily Marketing. But the point is, using social media, it has created this idea of hashtags, right? Before we used to just call it the pound symbol, right? And if you haven't seen that classic video of Jimmy Fallon and Justin Timberlake talking in hashtags, this is what it reminds me of, because at one point the world just kind of went crazy, right? I will link to that video on YouTube in the show notes because it's quite funny and it's definitely relevant for today's conversation. Now, what are the questions that often come up with social media marketing is hashtags. Well, I'm sorry. Let me start that again. The question that often comes up with social media marketing is that I know I should use hashtags, but what in the world do I do, right? How many do I use? How do I know which ones I should use? Why am I supposed to use them in the first place? And on and on. It's one simple tool, but it has so many questions surrounding it. So we're going to dive into that today. Now, perhaps you're not asking these questions, but you should be. So either way, I want you to hang out because we're going to go into hashtags 101. You're going to learn the what, the when, the where, and the why. All right. Now, you know that I love to keep things simple. So that's why it's 101, right? It's not a super deep dive, but it's going to be a practical look and a doable tactical look at how you can use hashtags in your social media strategy. Okay, so do not be intimidated or overwhelmed. This is for you. Okay, so first, let's talk about the purpose of hashtags. Now, the reason you want to use a hashtag in your content is for discoverability. Meaning, it is a way to get your content, whether it's a post or a video or a story, in front of more eyes. Now, specifically, the strategy behind that is to get it in front of the eyes that matter most, the ones that are more likely to be your best fit audience, which we have talked about here on the podcast, the importance of knowing who it is your business serves and who you're trying to reach on social media. So when we talk about which hashtags you should use, I want you to remember this when we get to that, okay? But right now, I just want you to know that the reason we use hashtags in our content is to help it to be discovered by the right people, to help your content to be seen. Now, this is the same whether you're talking about Instagram or YouTube or even Twitter or TikTok, but for the most part, what we're talking about today is going to apply specifically to Instagram, but it definitely, you can use it across the board. When we talk about figuring out which ones to use, that can be used across the board as well. Okay, so now we know the why. Let's talk about when. When should you use hashtags? Well, let's hone in on Facebook first, right? So before you would often hear, and you're often going to see, not to use hashtags on Facebook. And part of that is because the information that out there is kind of old. Facebook hasn't really addressed it one way or the other like they do with Instagram on a regular basis. And so for a while, a lot of people were saying if you use hashtags, it's actually going to have the opposite desired effect. It's not going to get in front of more people. It's going to get in front of less people, which of course we don't want. And then at the same time, I have seen people say, yes, definitely use them, but less is more. Don't use too many. There's not a magic number, but don't use too many and just use the ones that are super relevant, which we'll talk about as well. So here's the thing. Test, right? What's good for one business may not be good for another. So intentionally test your content on Facebook, use some with hashtags, do some without, and then look at your stats and see what's working, right? If it's helping you to get in front of more eyes, continue to do it. If it's not, then don't, okay? Now, when it comes to Instagram, it's a definite yes. You do want to use hashtags in your content. Now, if you're doing it as a post, you want the hashtag to be inside of the caption of your post. So for a while, there was a trend that you would leave the hashtags as your first comment on the post to clear the waters, right? So that way your post looks nice and clean. Okay, so you would publish a post and then you would go in and immediately make a comment with the hashtag, or even some third-party schedulers would do that for you. However, just recently, Instagram has said that if you want your content to be searchable on their platform, so when somebody goes in and searches for a specific word and you want that to be discovered through hashtags, then you need to include hashtags in your post. And what they said is what's searchable is the content, not the comments, right? So helpfully, this does simplify your life, right? So you're not having to worry about going in and putting an immediate comment. Just use the hashtag as a part of your post, okay? Now, of course, you can also use hashtags in stories. You can have it inside of the text of your IGTV video, or if you have an Instagram Reels video, then you're going to use your caption there, and you're going to put the hashtags in as well. When it comes to YouTube, you can use them in the description, or TikTok. You get the point, right? Wherever, LinkedIn, wherever you can use hashtags, use them if it's going to help your discoverability, okay? All right, so now, how do you know which ones to use? That can be a little overwhelming, right? So let's go back to the purpose of hashtags. If you want your content to be discovered by your potential customers, your best fit audience, then you want to use hashtags that those people are most likely to be following or searching for, or that's going to make Instagram think that that's relevant content for them. Now, you know I'm a big fan of using the Notes app on your phone. So to keep it simple, pull out the Notes app, start a new one that just is my hashtags list, right? And then use these tools I'm about to tell you about and add to that list. And you can just continue to add to it over time as well. Now, of course, you can look online, look for hashtag tools. You can find things out there. They're going to do searches for you or make suggestions for you. But you know that I like to keep it practical and simple. So that's what we're doing here. Okay. So let me give you 3 specific ways to help you find the right hashtags. Okay. Number 1, look at what your ideal customer, your best fit audience is using when they post. Go find some of those people, which hopefully you're following because you've done your homework and you're trying to build those relationships. Go see what they're using when they post content that's relevant to your product and your service. Okay. So for example, are you targeting horse trainers? I want you to go find a horse trainer that you would like to work with. And then I want you to look at their post and see what they're using. What hashtags are they using that you can also use in your content? Because if they're using that, they're most likely also following that, and it's going to help them to find your content, right? Which is what we're trying to do here. Number 2, I want you to look at what your competition is using. Is there some business, I'm sure there is there another business that is providing a similar product or service as you? Go look at their post. What hashtags are they using to get in front of the right people? Those could be some really good hashtags for you as well. Okay, number 3, use the Explore tab in your Instagram app. What videos or posts are coming up that seem to be relevant, not just to you, but to the people that you want to reach? And then go in and look at those captions. What hashtags are they using? Because whatever they're doing is working to get them discovered, right? And so you want to be discovered as well. So from that, you can make a pretty good list of hashtags that you can use, okay? Now, are there certain ones that you shouldn't use? Well, some people are going to tell you, okay, if it's more than 1 million, don't use that. And here's why. There's not really a magic number, but it's good to have a baseline. And I use that baseline a lot of times as well, because you're using hashtags for a reason, right? You want your content to be discovered. Well, if there's over 1 million posts of other people using that same hashtag, the chances of your content being discovered are going down, right? There's a lot of competition there. So why try to compete? Instead, use hashtags that have less than 1 million. Just pick a baseline number, right? You could even pick 600,000 if you want. But pick a number and know that the reason that you're doing that is because you want to increase your chances of being seen. And if there's so many. So I'll give you an example. One that I've seen people use a lot is, they'll make a post and talk about something and then it'll just be hashtag goals. Well, that's cute, but it's not really going to help you because if you look at hashtag goals, you're going to see it's used a ton. And it's not used by a certain niche or group. It's used by people anywhere and everywhere, right? So it's not going to help you get in front of your best fit audience. And that is what your goal is, okay? Now, if you're saying, Denise, how the heck do I know how many times it's been used? Thankfully, Instagram makes that pretty easy for you. So grab your phone or on your desktop even, you can just go into the search bar, put in hashtag, and then search for whatever one that is on your mind, right? And then the word or the phrase that you're considering is going to pop up and it's actually going to show you the number of posts. Now, depending on your app, it may look a little bit differently. You might have to actually hit the search button and then you'll see the results. I know for me on desktop, I definitely can see the number before I even hit the word enter or even hit the button enter. But either way, Instagram makes it easy for you to see how many times it's being used. Okay, so just go to the search. And there's another bonus for you, to be honest. You can go in and put in search and then put in a word like equestrian or something like that. And it will show up some other ideas for you as well. So you can look at that for other hashtag ideas. Okay, do not be overwhelmed. We're making really good headway here. So stick with me, okay? We're almost done. We're going to talk lastly about how many hashtags you should be using. Now, whatever number you decide is best for you, it's definitely good to use a variety. So don't use the same group of hashtags for every single post because again, your goal is to get in front of more eyes. And so if you use that same exact group every single time, you're just not really helping yourself. So do some variety. Okay. But right here, we're going to hone in on our Instagram strategy and talk about how many. Because in the world of marketing, it's been a hot topic. So there for a little bit, it was, you should use all 30. Instagram's going to allow you to use 30. You should use all 30. Well, the problem is a lot of times if you're using 30, you're risking being irrelevant by the time you get to number 30, right? It may not be relevant content to the person following that hashtag. You're just trying to fill it up. So Instagram actually came out and said, okay, actually the magic number is 15, right? So then everyone started to do that. And then they came out even more recently and said you should use between 3 and 5. And then people are freaking out. Okay, here's what I want you to do. And it's similar with what we said on Facebook. You need to use what's working for you, what's working for your audience. So if you are finding that you're reaching a lot of people and you're getting good engagement by using a lot of hashtags, then do it. If you feel like you need to use a smaller number because that's what's relevant, then do that. Okay. So remember the purpose and then test to see what works. All right. Those are our rules in marketing and social media. Okay. Now remember, it's not just about high numbers. Okay. Yes, you want to get in front of the right people, but that's why it's good to create engaging content, which we've talked about here on the podcast. Getting a lot of reach, getting a lot of followers. Honestly, none of that matters if you are not intentionally nurturing your audience and turning them into your customers, right? Inviting them onto your email list, inviting them to learn more about working with you, all of those things, okay? So don't get caught up on the numbers. Remember the why in the beginning is to build your business, okay? Now, I'm going to give you one quick bonus idea that didn't really fall into any of these what, when, where, why, and how kind of things. But when it comes to hashtags, another fun thing you can do is find a hashtag that's relevant to you and to your audience. And I want you to actually go there and then click follow. You can actually follow a hashtag. So maybe you're not following every single person that uses that hashtag, but Instagram will then in your feed start to show you posts or reels or videos or whatever the case may be from people that are using that hashtag. Okay, so that's a really good way for you to find your best fit audience as well. So what I wanted to do is look at it as an engagement opportunity. Follow some relevant hashtags, and then I want you to go in and comment on the post by those people that are your ideal customer. Okay, no matter what size of your business, these one-on-one relationship building techniques are going to be beneficial to you, right? Remember, we buy from people. People buy from people, no matter what. And it was created, social media was created for you to be social. So this is a really great way for you to do that, okay? All right, friends. that is it for today. Now, of course, you can jump on over to stormlily.com/55 to get the show notes and get a highlight of everything I've shared here for you. And of course, if you're not in my free Facebook group, the How to Market Your Horse Business community, I would love to have you there. We're always talking about fun, different things related to marketing and encouraging one another. And so I'll include that in the show notes, or you can just jump onto Facebook, How to Market Your Horse Business as well. And of course, if you're on Instagram, find me. I'd love to connect with you as well. All right. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I hope it's been super helpful. I hope that you're going to pull out your app and start applying what you are learning. If you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out. I'll see you again next week.